For those who would condemn others in hateful language for doing that, that would not, while that speech would be permitted, it would not be speech that, well, that speech would be permitted, but would you condemn, I guess, I'll ask it this way, would you condemn people who use hateful or insightful speech against those who have converted to another faith?
Well, I think that generally you should love your neighbor, even if you don't love the actions that your neighbor posits. You have to have respect for your neighbor. You might tell your neighbor that we think you're wrong, that we're sorry that you're doing this, but to attack them as being anything less than your neighbor would certainly not be a Christian point of view.
Right. Ms. Carey, let me ask you a similar question. You belong to an organization which has been very clear about its positions on the website, for example. I wonder if you've made any public pronouncement or statement condemning those religious leaders who've employed violent or hateful rhetoric or promoted hateful views of others' religious groups. Have you done that, or has your website done that?
Well, let me maybe by way of background,
as a former staffer, you know that my time is very limited. I don't have a lot of background. I have 3 quick questions here. Have you done that?
Yeah, well, let me just clarify, Senator Kyle. My organization's work is focused on protecting and upholding our constitutional values.
So you haven't condemned the hateful speech of those who have criticized others in the way that I mentioned then?
I guess I would have to know more specifically which particular case you're talking about.
Well, let me just ask you this. Would you today criticize threats of death or physical harm directed at writers or commentators who have criticized Islamic extremism? You would condemn that today, would you not?
I think we have in our country a very cherished fidelity to the First Amendment, and that includes a freedom of speech. Not questioning whether
people have the right to speak. The question is whether you would agree that that speech is helpful or hurtful, whether you would condemn it or be neutral about it.
Those who would threaten to kill somebody because of their political views, religious views, that's inappropriate.
And I'm specifically talking about the website. I guess I should identify your site here, which I will in just a moment.
It's MuslimAdvocates.org.
Yeah, and it is MuslimAdvocates.org, is
yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Let me just refer you to several cases here last year and then ask you about something on your website. Just last year, U.S. intelligence agents and our justice system uncovered and prosecuted a number of attempted terrorist attacks that were planned by radical Muslim extremists.